It's the Daylight Midnight Show.
Hello and welcome to the Daylight Midnight Show. My name is Greg and I think for 1 week only I'm going to call this the Daylight Midnight Snow. Because I don't know what it's been like where you are, but we've had about 15 inches of snow in our back garden in the last 7 days. Whether that's just direct snowfall or whether it's some that's blown off the nearby fields, I'm not sure, but it looks absolutely beautiful and I've loved every minute of it. So first things first, let's check the time it is running. It is. Second thing second, let's reveal our wonderful word of the week. This is a word that I've encountered this week that I haven't encountered before, so I've looked at what it meant and I've decided I'm going to share it with you. And our word of the week for this week is the word degust. I thought maybe this is hiding from the wind, but to degust is something I do very often. It's to really take your time when you eat food so you can taste it properly and you can really appreciate what you are eating. So that is our word of the week, degust. From there we swing around to the Door of Delights. A quick Seagulls update. Brighton and Hove Albion lost to Leicester City in the FA Cup in midweek. This is just days after I boldly and confidently predicted on this show that they were going to make it to the FA Cup final. So the moral of the story from football this week, don't listen to anything that Greg says. I've also made a couple of changes to Outfit Roulette. Now last week, you might remember, I decided I was going to take the baseball cap off because anytime I wear the baseball cap as a result of Outfit Roulette, you can't see my eyes properly, there's shadows on my face and it messes up the camera. But I couldn't think of what to replace it with. I've decided to replace it with my Australian hat. I've got one of those fair dinkum hats with the corks hanging off it, so that's on Outfit Roulette. And I've made another change as well because I realised I'd created this nightmare scenario where I could end up topless. So I've taken nothing off this column and I've replaced it with a wetsuit. Because doing this show in a wetsuit I think would be hilarious. And oh, what's this on the Door of Delights as well that's stuck to the door handle? Why, it's only this week's topical limerick. Obviously the topic has to be snow because there's been so much of it all over the UK. So I've had a look around the news stories, a few facts and figures I've noticed from the news this week. The UK reached its coldest temperature for 25 years. Braemar in Aberdeenshire up in Scotland recorded minus 23 degrees Celsius earlier this week. That's the coldest Britain has been since December 1995. Staying in Scotland, a man in Dundee was charged with dangerous driving this week after driving with about 3 inches of snow on his windscreen. If you didn't see this, I urge you to look it up. You know, when you go out, if you've got to take your car out in these conditions, you make sure you can see absolutely everything out of absolutely every window. This guy had literally cleared like a letterbox of the windscreen that he could see through, and the rest of it was covered with snow. So the passenger side, all the side doors and the rear windscreen were all thick with snow, and he was surprised when police objected to him doing this. The word blizzard has been used a lot this week, understandably, but did you know there are very specific conditions that have to be met for something to be called a blizzard? If you're walking home from the pub and the snow's blowing in your face, that doesn't count as a blizzard. There has to be visibility of less than 400 metres, that's roughly a quarter of a mile. The wind has to be blowing at more than 35 miles per hour in strength, that's about 54 kilometres per hour, and the snowfall has to last for at least 3 hours. And the final one I noticed this week, which I really did enjoy, an estate agent in Essex put a family's homemade garden igloo up for sale with an asking price of £250,000. The listing warned that the home is not going to be available for long and it's showing signs of damp. And the agent said he thought it would be funny in these hard times we're having. His boss made him take it off the website sooner. So, you know, what fun they have in estate agents. So a limerick about all this stuff then, encapsulating the whole of the last 7 days. This week we've had plenty of snow and it's hanging around. It won't go. I went out with my son and had plenty of fun, which you'll see in this short video.
In the snow, we had a lot of fun in the snow. My son has got a sledge and I thought that I would try it, but it wouldn't move because I'm too fat. I need to go on a diet in the snow, We had a lot of fun in the snow. I'm moving fast ahead because my son gave me a push. When I land in the snow, I got a very wet tush in the snow, I fall off very soon, don't you know? I landed on my arms and my clothes got very wet, but you'll notice on the camera that there was a nice sunset. in the snow, in the snow. We had a lot of fun in the snow. This is later in the day and the track had got much slicker. My son is lighter than me, so he went much quicker. When he gets to the bottom, he is going very fast, and he falls off the sledge and he landed on his ass.
So, when people tell you that Norfolk is flat, you can tell them you've seen evidence that there are some hills that you can sledge down if you go out and find them. So grading for that limerick, A+ for the activity because I had a lot of fun this week, C- for the limerick because it's not my best work. From there, let's have a look in the brown folder, which of course now has its own theme tune. Octopuses have 8 arms, spiders have 8 legs. Let's see what is written in the folder that is Greg's. That's a work in progress. The brown folder, as I'm sure you know by now, is a little thing I carry around with me at all times. I write stuff in it as I think of it during the week, and then we go through it together on a Friday. So, point number 1 this week, I feel sorry for people who can't enjoy the snow. I think we've covered snow now, so I'm going to leave that one there. Point number 2, will anyone remember how to cook for more than 4 people? We love having people around for meals. I don't like going out and having sort of big meals in restaurants with about 15 people because you don't get a chance to talk to everybody. So we like having 3 or 4 round at a time. You cook a meal for them and you have a lovely conversation. It's so long since we've done it. I was thinking this week, I don't know if I'll remember how to cook for 8 people. Because there is a skill involved in cooking, and if you learn a new recipe and you do it for 3 or 4 new people, there's an art to getting that right because you've got more ingredients and it's going to take longer. And it's been so long since I cooked for more than just the 4 of us in my family. I'm a bit worried that if I invite you round for a meal when lockdown finally ends, I'm going to make a mess of it. But let's be honest, we all want it to happen sooner rather than later, so that's a problem I'm looking forward to encountering. And my final point this week, nothing to talk about because no life. Yeah, I said right in the early days of this show that a lot of the basis of this show was based on stuff that I used to do on radio, and I worked in radio for about 10 years. And a lot of the stuff that I used to talk about on radio was about things that I'd done myself. So I'd go out and I would just meet random members of the public and have a conversation with them about their lives, and that would give me talking points about things to do on the show the next day. I'd love to do that with the Daylight Midnight show, but as I'm sure you've noticed, nobody's going anywhere, I'm not encountering anybody, so we've got nothing to talk about. So what I'm trying to say there, I think, is when lockdown finally ends and I get to go out and about, this show is actually going to get better and might finally be worth watching. So please bear with me until then. So let's sort out outfit roulette then. We're going to use the randomness of the Rubik's Cube to decide what I'm going to wear next week. And of course we have new options because I've upgraded it this week. So the first colour we have is red, and red on my list is nothing, so I won't be wearing anything over the top. In the second column we will be choosing option orange, which is the onesie again, so I'll be wearing this again next week. And to accessorise all that, we will have yellow, which will be a woolly hat. So I hope it doesn't warm up as much as they say, or I'm going to be baking here in a onesie and a woolly hat next week. So that's it from the show. A rhyming couplet to end on. You'd think with my history of injuries, I'd want to be quite careful, but when the sledging days are done, I'll be quite sad and tearful. I will see you next week. Have a great 7 days.
Ready when you are.
Alright. That was crazy!